got a bit of time today, and there's actually some daylight. I want to find out what connector I need for this. I have a friend who knows what he's doing when it comes to electrics, so he's been able to tell me what that is, and hopefully we'll take everything apart and it'll make more sense. Trouble is, these big panels, there's two of them, this side comes off easy. It's all been unscrewed. Wow, that's noisy. It's all been unscrewed, so it comes off really easily, and you can see the electric ram here. And I've just got to try and figure out what's connected and what's not. So we've got the cables here, which I believe provide power, but there's another pair of spade connectors down there. I'm not sure what those are for. You can see these wires just pop out here. Now, I don't know where the rest of the wiring is for this, or where it originally went, or where it routes. I have no information. This side, passenger side, there's a wire here for something, I don't know what, but I can't get this one off at the moment. These are the wires. I assume this is for the ram on this side. And then at the back of this panel you've got an indicator light and a switch, and I think the switch is for the interior light down there, but I'm not 100% sure. The trouble is, I've just popped the door seal off. I can get this edge around there when the door seal's off, but I can't get it past the ramp, and the ramp is held up with some wood screws, because apparently if these wood screws aren't in, the ramp pushes the back doors open, which it shouldn't do, because it should lock in here. So there might be an adjustment off somewhere that needs fixing. So I'm going to have to take this out and this one out, drop the ramp so that I can get this off and have a look inside and see what on earth is going on here. Well, I can see why that pushes the doors open. That is supposed to be attached there. So we can fix that. That's not the end of the world. There is a little bit of rust underneath there. I'm not going to poke. But now, that comes up. And what on earth am I looking at? I have literally no idea. Fun. Right, so up here, these wires are cut. I don't know where they went. There's a couple of relays, so that must go to something. And then there's a wire there for something, and another one. Some connectors. Oh, this is a mess. That's the ramp supporting itself, and the thing that was missing, well, it wasn't missing, it was still there. The problem there was this little pin, which should be long enough to hold all of this together, and then you have an adjustment locking nut here. I've just used some random wire that I have in my toolbox. It's not the right solution, but it's okay for now. That means that the ramp can't now drop too far, but there's nothing holding it, so the screws will have to go back in anyway. But what I can see operating this is that black lever is connected to this, so there must be something that connects to there, possibly to this piece, this long bar, which then allows everything to drop. I don't know. I have no schematics for this at all. I haven't got a clue. I'm going to have to do some research into what's actually gone on, because I don't really understand. Like, for example, these wires are clearly newer than these ones back here that have been cut. These are very pink and these are very white. So I don't know when this was done. And I assume, what I assume happens is this wire connects between those two and probably goes underneath this trim. And I assume it then branches off up to where the earth point is there, so that you can provide power to both rams simultaneously, and it's all earthed, and that's how it operates. It's very simple, but when you don't really understand what you're looking at or what's missing, it's tricky. The other thing is, this isn't for the light switch like I originally thought. This is some sort of solenoid. Again, the wiring's missing, but there's another one at the back here. Okay, I've had a little bit of a clean up in here just to get the dust and leaves and things that were behind the trim. The only time you ever clean that sort of thing is when you have stuff apart. So that's just a bit easier to see what I'm doing. I'm not very much further on than I was, I'll be honest. I think this green wire, which has nothing on the end, is a speaker wire, and there are speakers in the back of the van, so I think I can discount that one. This red with a green trace, no connector, it disappears up into here somewhere. I have no idea what it's for. This grey one with all these thin wires on, that is for the connector. I've just screwed that back in. I didn't see any point disconnecting it, and if I remember rightly, that's an 8-pin DIN. It's got 5 wires coming out, and the standard controllers for a lot of mobility stuff is a 5-pin DIN like that. So I think this part at least I can just get a generic controller. The 2 relays there aren't connected to anything. Now I assume these are for these, because these are quite chunky motors, so I imagine there's 1 relay for each to take the load, and that means this wire probably goes to the relays, and that might mean that this short wire this side is on the wrong side of the van. So it might mean that this short one actually goes from there to there, and then that long one goes from this side of the van all the way across and up to there. There looks like there's enough to do that. If that's the case, then this wire that's cut here, I assume, because that's an earth point, that probably goes up to the relay for whichever is the earth on the relay, I think. Now there's a few extra bits and pieces. I don't know where they're supposed to be connected. So we have this yellow with a black trace is connected to this solenoid back here. I think this is a stop solenoid for this mechanism. So I assume when you operate it, maybe this bracket here, because it does look like it lines up with this, when it gets to a certain point, will hit that switch and cut power, so that it's at the top or bottom of its travel, whichever way this works. On this side, there's another solenoid down there, I think. I can't really get in to see, but again, there's no connections there, so I don't know. And then of course, this solenoid, which I thought was for the interior light, isn't, is also unconnected there. The interior light down here, that's what this wiring is, and I don't know what's going on with these connectors. Honestly, I've got no idea there, so I'll have to figure out where they go. I mean, that might connect up to this, so it might be that this actually runs up that pillar along the roof and then to the interior light at the front of the car. So that could be what that is. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Yeah, I need to do some more investigation on this one, and I also need to figure out what is supposed to be connected on here. I think there should be a piece that joins this to this, and I think that will then mean the ramp works properly with the rams. I am just guessing. I have no diagrams for this at all. I've never dealt with one of these, unsurprisingly. But it looks very simple. It looks a very simple, borderline crude system. So hopefully it won't be too bad to get working again. I do know it works. I've seen it working, so I do know that the components at least work. I just need to figure out what needs to be connected to what to get full functionality back, because that makes the van so much more useful. One thing the van came to me with is a box of random stuff. The gaskets and window winders and radios and head gasket kit, all sorts of things. I've just been having a rummage to see if I can figure out what joins this to this, and I think I've figured it out. There's a big piece here, looks like it's gold zinc plated, and that is a perfect fit on there, and it all sort of matches that. It's got a pivot here, and I think that goes through this hole here, but I don't think things are in the right place for me to actually install it, because this section is solid, it doesn't bend like that. So as it is at the moment, if I put that on there, obviously it's nowhere near lining up on that. And because this is solid, I can't like turn it round the other way, although I'm not sure how that would work. I found in one of the trim pockets a single, what looks like a valve spring, heavily greased. I think, I'm not 100% sure, I think that goes in there. Like that. I think it's sort of a damping system. And then there's two nuts rather, which are a perfect fit and a similar finish that I think go on here. And I think this whole rod here, because it joins down here, I think in normal operation this is what holds that black arm, which holds that rod, which holds the ramp, and I think this is what holds it all up, and I think that's why it needs the wood screws to hold the ramp up, because this has all been disconnected for reasons I don't understand. Hopefully I'm going to have to do some research on this and find out what on earth is going on, because I don't know, but that just feels close to correct. I think to join this onto here, I think I have to knock this pin out, line it up with the black arm, and then knock the pin through everything, and then that bracket section there, which slides on and off, will lock it all in place. And then these, I think, are your adjuster nuts for the length on everything. Yeah, I'm also not sure why this is loose, because that's just the pivot for the ram. I don't know, maybe somebody was looking at removing all of this and reverting it to a standard van, because you could do that. I don't know. Oh, and there's this thing, which has a copper plate on it. I don't know where that's from. Looks a bit like a fuse holder, maybe. I don't know. It's very odd. Okay, I think I was right. I've just lifted the tailgate, just packing up really. I don't know why I didn't try this before. And the hole there and the pivot there line up, so I'm going to see if I can join those together, because that would keep this up. I don't need it opening at the moment. I just want everything as together as I can. Yay! No more wood screws. It holds itself up now. So yeah, I was correct on this. It looks like that is how it's done, and the spring, you can see it just allows it a bit of movement there. I think that is where it belongs. You know when you put something together and it just feels like that's how it should be? Yeah, everything just feels right. It probably needs some adjustment, but for now, I now know that piece is up, and it doesn't try and push the doors open when they're shut. It actually latches into the socket there properly, so I'm a lot happier about that. Yeah, so mechanically I think these are fine. I just need to sort out the wiring side of it, and that's going to be a job. A little bit of an addendum here, because after recording all of that video where I was exploring how the lift ramp works on the back of the van, I ended up getting some unexpected information. So I now know who did the conversion on the van, and I've been speaking to somebody who actually experienced one of these vans when they were brand new. So the conversion was originally done by a company called Atlas, who are down near Southampton. The company still exists. I have reached out to them, but they don't have any records going back that far on their conversions. They did say they'd be happy for me to have a look if I dropped in with the van, but unfortunately I'm all the way up in Lincolnshire, so it's not exactly a quick call-in job for me. That said, if there's a mobility company down south that has done this conversion back then, it's probably fairly standard components, so one up here that's been going for a while can probably also look at it for me. Now, the person who is responsible for letting me know about Atlas, and by extension a little bit more information about the van, is a fellow artist called Colin Marsh, and you can find out more about his work over here. I'll put a link up somewhere. I'll also put it in the description so that you can just click and go. Do check his work out. It's very different to mine, but it's very good. And I'm hoping to talk to him a little bit more about these vans in the future, about experience and that sort of thing. But we're not going to do that in this video. Just thought you'd like to know a little bit more information there. I'm working on putting together a diagram so that I can sort of understand and share with other people what's going on with the various switches and mechanical components in the back of the van. So maybe I can figure out a wiring diagram. I've since learned there should be 4 relays in the back, not just 2. And I've found that there is the main power lead that runs to the battery is actually still underneath the van, and some of the connectors in the scuttle at the front are still there. So there's enough to put everything back together. I just need to figure out what the wiring actually is doing. Right, that is the end of the video now. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to do the subscribes and the likes and all that kind of business. It does help. And I will see you next week.